Hi, my name is Tamara. This is the Festival Network. My mission is to create a platform where industry professionals can be authentic about their journeys. Join me as I take you behind the scenes of the amazing culture that encompasses more than just music. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day. In this interview, I had the pleasure of sitting down and talking with Hairitage. Hairitage, also known as Aaron, is an American dubstep producer and DJ. His signature style combines hip hop and heavy bass. You may recognize Hairitage from Bang Your Head, a recent collab with DJ Diesel, aka Shaq, or my personal favorite, and I think his most viral remix of the year, Feel Good Inc. Hairitage started making music in 2016 and released his first EP in 2019 called Pressure Points. He has been on fire collabing with some of the biggest names in the dubstep scene. Hairitage has collaborated with other artists like DJ Diesel, Excision, Riot 10, and Sullivan King. He has performed at major festivals like Lost Lands, EDC Las Vegas, Bass Canyon, and Wacan. I finally got to see Hairitage live at Wacan, and it was exactly what I expected. His sets are a mix of original tracks, remixes, and throwbacks. Think high energy and very empowering. Like, I could go take on the world after seeing him live. In 2023, he released an epic EP and has more insane remixes he's just teased on IG, so be on the lookout for those. You can connect with Hairitage on your favorite social platform and find his music on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Pro tip, SoundCloud is where the best remixes are. Also, from personal experience, Hairitage songs are perfect for Reels and TikToks, so go check him out. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Hairitage. See you guys next time. A quick disclaimer for this interview. We're at Wacan, and even though I tried to provide the best quality sound, unfortunately the show didn't stop for us, and we were recording 50 feet from the main stage, as the headliners were going all out. But the content is truly amazing.
Awesome.
I'm just gonna keep it cash. What's up, everyone? Tamara here with the Festival Network, and I'm joined with an amazing guest here at Wacan Festival in Arkansas. He has been producing for so long. He's done major collabs and collabed with Liquid Stranger, Rusco, and Diesel. Let's give it up for Hairitage, also known by Aaron. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Honestly, just want to get to know you more. I want to know, what inspires you, some of the things that you've had to deal with as an artist over the last, how many years have you even been producing and in the industry?
Absolutely. I started electronic production, like my day one, was, I believe in 2012, or maybe late 2011, but I'd heard Scary Monsters and Ice Sprites was kind of the thing, and Kill the Noise was popping off. Feed Me had his Big Adventure, Escape, I think it was either Big Adventure or Escape from Electro Mountain.
Okay.
Those were like my big three. Flux Pavilions, Bass Cannon.
Were you into EDM before you heard electronic music, or what inspired you to get into it?
I just heard it, and I was like, how do you do that? Because I had been doing music like either metal, rock, like some jazz, indie stuff, and I was playing bass guitar, and I had been doing so since I was 12.
I read an article that your family got you and all of your siblings to do a band because you didn't want to do sports.
Yeah, it was a last ditch effort to keep us from just playing video games, which because at the time you'd be like, there's no way you're going to make any money making video games, and now some of the richest people in the world, that's all they do.
My brother's 13 and he's into video games. Yeah. I'm like, Can you please just become a millionaire for all of us?
I mean, it's nuts, right? As long as you catch on as an idea, like as a streamer, you could, that's all it takes. There's a kid making like, I don't know if it's 2 million or 20 million a year, but he just opens toys on YouTube.
Yeah, he started when he was like 6 years old.
Unreal. Is that? Yeah. And now I make dubstep, so that was so we're doing fine. No, so it all started around then. Parents' last ditch effort. They were like, you gotta get into something that's not this, something constructive, and we all pretty much caught on. I think one of my brothers is still drumming. One of them's full-time job doing like Intel stuff, so it's pretty much taken over. But it didn't get us away from the games, though. I mean, that's a lot of my spare time at home. My brothers live in other states, so a lot of our time spent, still hanging out is online.
I think a lot of like EDM and like video games are starting to kind of like come together too. Like they have those AI virtual events and stuff like you can throw on the Facebook.
Yep.
What's it called? The Facebook
Metaverse.
Yeah,
there's the Metaverse, the Oculus Rift. There's like the Steam. I forgot what the name is, but it's just the virtual rooms.
Have you thought of doing like a virtual rave like that? Or?
I did one actually with.
Did you?
It was during the COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
And you were a virtual character in front of decks. And I was actually spinning the camera displayed in the virtual room, and then everybody was whatever character they wanted to be. So I was running around as a stick of butter afterwards, and it was very interesting. And it's all user developed. It's all DIY. Like it wasn't a product that you bought. People just built these solutions because we had no other option.
We didn't.
Yeah,
I feel like
Minecraft raves and everything.
2020 was so unique, and we all of us ravers and festival goers had to adapt to what we were given.
Yep.
And it was really hard, but I feel like at the same time, like we all had to bond and like just kind of work with what we were given.
Yeah, I mean, you remember the drive-in raves and everything. We're all trying to stay away from each other.
Yeah.
Good time.
How was 2020 for you?
I mean, it sucked. I mean, I had written a pretty good track. Came out and was doing well online. I think we had a Lost Lands offer and a lot of other things were like just building up traction for me, and it all just stopped.
Yeah.
At the time, I wasn't working. I was just focusing on music. I had moved to Texas, that's 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
Quit everything and just started to pursue off of a nest egg that I built up for myself. And that, because of COVID, that ran out. We any sort of income just stopped.
Yeah.
And I had to pick up a new job and everything. So it was tough.
Really?
I mean, it was a lot of like, it felt like I was starting over 2 years later once everything kind of came back. And
I feel like at the same time though, if you were doing like virtual raves and stuff, you still maintained that connection with the festival industry, and the people that were doing virtual raves were the ones that even built their careers afterwards, like LS Dream even. So.
I mean, it was definitely different for everybody, right? And those who managed to adapt were, able to succeed and have something, later. But there's obviously, pinnacle careers where it's like, it doesn't matter what's going on. You're
and thank God that's over.
Thank God that's over, right? I mean, we can just go back to do this and not worry about it, so.
What is your definition of music, personally, to you?
Oh, man, well.
I know that's a tough question. Yeah. Everyone has their own idea of what music can mean, but I'm curious.
I think that music in the most fundamental sense is its own language, in the sense that you have your ways to express, right? We have our own vocal sounds that we can make in order to portray what we're thinking and feeling. And when you consider the melodic and the different elements of sounds that exist in a musical sense, it's much more universal, including the voice, but it's not limited to anything.
It's not.
It just becomes...
It's a vibration, really.
It's sometimes not, right? I mean, sometimes it is just tones, and vibration often is felt, not heard. And it's but it's all up to interpretation, right? So that's really how I sum up music is the form of expression, using those restraints, right? Those constraints. And just like speaking or language is going to be the constraints of what you're saying and how you're saying it. So it's just like that.
I agree, honestly. Like, I feel like Music is one of the only things that can hold humanity together because we don't judge people by the music. And if you walk by someone playing a drum on the street,
Yeah.
you can connect with them,
Right.
you can vibe with them, you can respect them.
Right.
And it kind of takes away that barrier of, status in a way.
I think so. Yeah, I can see that. I think that we're called to kind of act accordingly, right? But everything that we have in terms of our own interest in things is up to interpretation and then up to criticism and judgment. We have our own things that we decide to get attracted to, and as a contrary, we can be very opposed to certain sounds and certain things, right? And it's not necessarily from like a good or evil or anything like that. It's just the, what's resonating with you, right? And where do you feel most at home and comfortable?
What has inspired you the most as a producer, and what are you trying to portray or get people to feel through your music?
I think the portrayal, the message that I'm trying to have is one of like a happy, high energy, but in my own kind of language, right? I have a certain tone that I'm accustomed to, and I'm merely trying to present that to everybody else. And it's hard for me to write a story based on the sounds that I'm interested in, because I would be putting the wagon before the horse, so to speak. But it's up to you to kind of enjoy that in the way that, and interpret it the way that you feel is right. And I try to create like a visual experience that relates to that sonically, as well as visually, which gets kind of challenging because sometimes I'm not really saying words or telling a story. I'm sending like sort of sending a color out into the world, and trying to kind of come up with fill in the blanks is very hard to do. So sometimes I just leave it at that. But I think that's my objective here.
What is some of the most underrated things about being a producer or a DJ?
I think the travel and the freedom to kind of I can go wherever I want, really, because I do a lot of touring now, so I have some travel miles, and on my time off, we can go places, try all sorts of different foods around the United States, get to go to Canada, got to go to Mexico, hopefully be able to expand over to Europe, Australia, and Asia. There's as beautiful as the career can look from the outside looking in, it's definitely a lot of work, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of challenges in the business sense of this stuff, right? And it's not just pushing buttons on a computer and all of a sudden it's working out. You've got to have a brand. You've got to have a team. You got to have a team, right? You got to cut them in. You got to do you got to do all these dances.
It's never just as easy as like getting up there and performing your music. There's so much hard work that goes into it behind the scenes. How would you say you combat or overcome those mental barriers of, like you said, self-doubt or imposter syndrome, or even just like confidence?
One of the biggest things that helped me to kind of, it's not necessarily that I've gotten rid of those feelings.
You never do.
But you can deal with them better when you understand that anybody from just starting out to like Rob Swire has some sort of disdain for their own work, their own results, right? And they've been very open about that artists I look up to have been like, products that I put out, I'm not happy with it 100%. But there was a guy, and
it's like the OCD in you too.
In a way, yeah. I mean, if you have OCD,
like perfectionism, OCD, you want to. It's hard to create what you actually have in your brain. And I understand that too. What would you say to someone trying to get into producing music? Like, is there any words of wisdom that you could offer for, new EDM artists or producers?
This thing is not as simple as bass and drum tutorials on YouTube. It is musical art and expression, and goes into so many different dynamics than just big synthesizers making you go crazy. You got to kind of identify why these things work the way they do.
Okay.
And from a production standpoint, It is very important to learn everything from the musicalities, the music theory, building up a sample library, learning how to
Not
stay
just
organized,
mixing.
not just mixing.
Right.
DJing is the last thing you need to figure out.
Yeah.
It is all a writer's game right now, and that
Right.
could change. We may be looking at visual artists in 10 years,
Right.
but it's important to stay innovative, and it is important to build an audience right now. It used to be that you send your work out or you do remixes for people,
Right.
and all of a sudden you're on tour.
Yeah.
Right now, you have an opportunity to build your own audience on TikTok and everything else. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need any help as long as you're building a quality product, you're staying alert, and you're building your fan base up over
Yeah.
time. We've been proven over and over again that things have changed over the last 10 years. The way that it worked for your heroes are not the way it's going to work
Right.
for you. And have a backup plan, because you never know when you never know what's actually going to be your thing that you do for the rest of your life unless you really try everything.
Yeah.
You know, I could just as easily
Don't settle for one thing. Don't limit yourself. Don't put yourself in a box.
and don't put yourself in a box.
Yeah.
Whether that's college or art or whatever. Like, you may end up finding out that you're just the best plumber on the West Coast and now you got a multi-million-dollar business. You never know. You know what I
Right.
mean? So try everything.
Yeah. I know now this is your main profession, your main career.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to get to a point where you could solely commit to just being a producer and a touring DJ
Yeah.
as opposed to having a side job?
It happened 2 years ago, and I've been doing music since I was 12. And it happened about 2 years ago that it worked out for me.
And everyone thinks like overnight success because they automatically start seeing you do collabs
Right,
and like
right.
they're like, wow, who is this?
Yeah.
Where did he come from? But
I mean,
it
there's
didn't happen overnight.
There's people that blew up, you know, people that blow past me, you know, and they have these crazy ideas and it all just comes together, but you don't see the amount of time that goes into it behind it.
No.
And sometimes it's 2 years, sometimes it's 20 or 30.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
But if you love it, it doesn't really feel like you're ahead or behind. You're just doing what you want to do.
Do you feel like you're learning all the time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta. I mean, it is. It's an art form, and everybody does it their own way. So there's always a lesson to be learned just by listening to other people's work,
Yeah.
looking at tutorials online, experimenting at home.
Yeah.
You learn more just by trying stuff. For
Not
the
being
first time.
afraid to like do something that no one has ever done.
Make bad art. Make a lot of bad art, because the key to not sucking at something is to suck at something so much that you just figure it out.
I love that.
Yeah, that's how it's all. Exactly. And if you love it, but you're not getting good at it quick, do it anyway.
Right.
And if you don't end up making any money on it, at least your time is spent doing something you want to do.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's not
absolutely.
about money. It's about time.
Yeah.
You know, things you want to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Discipline is bigger than motivation too. Yeah, don't feel like you're gonna want to do things, because any good career of any kind is built on the times where you didn't want to do it but you did it anyway.
Yeah.
That's anything.
The discomfort of trying something new, the fear
Yep.
of putting yourself out there and
Yep.
not knowing if it's going to work or not.
Exactly. Yeah. Love being uncomfortable, because it will take you farther.
Yeah. Is there anything that, anyone can look forward to within the next few months? Any collabs, any shows?
Yeah.
Anything that you would like to tell your fans?
Yeah, I just about every weekend for the rest of the year I've got shows. So we have our song kicks. We've got our all of our like socials and things like that. We have all of our touring links there. So anything that you want to try and go see me, there's a good chance I'm in your city coming up here pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
We've got a lot of releases coming out. I know we just dropped The Traveler with Cannonballin'. There's some things coming behind that here very shortly that we're excited to show. But yeah, it's going to be very big. It's going to be Hairitage season here very quickly.
Yes.
So I'm
well,
excited.
I'm so excited. I'm really glad that I finally got to see you perform here at WACON, my first WACON. And I'm super grateful for you to be able to come on to the podcast and just talk a little bit about your perspective on the industry and give some insight on people that might be interested into breaking in soon.
Beautiful.
So,
Yeah, it was good talking to you
thank you
as
so
well.
much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Nice meeting
Yeah,
you.
nice meeting you as well. And I hope to see you at the next WACON.
I'm sure we'll be here next year,
Absolutely.
honestly.
Yeah, looking
Hell
forward
yeah.
to it. Awesome.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Life abundance. 'Cause there is life abundance.
Yo, make some noise right now!